Welcome, everybody, to the Real Estate Sales Summit. Oh, I'm excited about this one. I have known this next guest for, oh my gosh, has it been 6-7 years now?
I think so.
It's been a daggum long time, but then we lost touch over the past year, or past few years, and luckily he has agreed to share his extensive knowledge, wisdom, and background with us today. So I am extremely happy to have Jay Kinder with us today. So welcome, Jay.
What's up, Rob, and all of our guests that are watching today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, let's do this. Before we get into some of the questions and your super secrets to success, give us a little bit of your background, where you came from, and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so, like most people, I didn't grow up wanting to be a real estate agent. My dad was actually owned a brokerage, and at 19, so like 23 years now, I got into real estate. And at the time I was mowing yards, so, that translates really well to selling real estate, obviously. It actually did a little bit because, I learned all the streets, you know what I'm saying? I knew where everything was, at least.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one day I walked in my dad's office, and he was giving a check for like $5,500 to this guy, Rusty Williams, that he didn't look like he broke a sweat that day. And I was getting my check for mowing yards, and I'm like, wait a minute now. So, maybe this commission sales thing is something I should be looking into. And so, I ended up, get my real estate license and trying to figure it out ever since, right? Like, that's basically where it started.
Well, you started out did you start out as an individual agent just working for a traditional company?
Just a traditional, working for a Coldwell Banker. My dad's, he had bought the franchise that year, actually, that I got my license. And, then I spent, the next 3 months trying to figure out, how to make a sale and, put a contract together. From there, continuously learning. I think I probably paid everybody that you could pay in real estate over the next several years, continuously, actually. I'm still continuing to learn and grow and invest in myself and invest in gaining knowledge. But, by my 5th year, I was number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker. I was selling 531 homes a year, something like that. Yep. And did that for several years before I went independent in 2011. I was paying, roughly $100,000 to Coldwell Banker a year. And so my dad's exit strategy was, ironically, for me to buy the company. And I did the math, and, there just wasn't enough value. And I don't think in any brand for you to be paying that kind of money. So, that was transitioned to an independent brokerage, and that was that, and then moved to Dallas and started a brokerage here. And then we also had, since 2006, the Kinder Reese Coaching and Training, the National Association of Expert Advisors. Yep. And helping agents grow their business. That's been the last 10, 15 years of my life. That's been primarily what I focused on. And then we moved over to EXP a couple years ago. So that's been that's a 23-year short version of the story of there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will put some nice links in there for people to get in touch with you and ask you some additional questions on that. But let me ask you this. So when you started, how did you really get going, and what was your first big aha that you went, oh crap, that's what I need to do?
Right. So I remember there was 2 things. The first thing I did was I did open houses every Sunday. And I got to meet a lot of people, and have a lot of conversations, and ultimately ended up, meeting the first person that bought a house, from me. And then, I remember I went to this guy, the guy's name was Roger Butcher, and he had this little course that he would teach. And, I didn't have, I didn't have a listing presentation, buyer presentation. Like, I didn't have any tools really that, for how to get customers. there was no manual for that. So especially wasn't back then. And so, I was, I'm 19 years old. I mean, all my friends, my sphere of influence were all doing cake stands still. So, there's not, there wasn't a whole lot of things for me I had to focus on how do I get a customer. And, and kind of didn't know really where to turn. So I tried to, take every class I could, or go learn as much as I could from as many different places I could. And and I remember in Roger Butcher's course, no one had ever told me the concept of for sale by owners or expires. Like I didn't even know what they were. And so, he's talking about these people that put for sale signs in their yard and they want to sell their house, but they don't want to use an agent necessarily. And, I'm like, seriously, there's people that put signs in the yards that want to sell their house and they don't, and I'm a real estate agent and I can help them do that. And so I literally left that class and actually went driving around in Norman, Oklahoma. I called my dad. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. There's for sale by owners everywhere. I'm going to call all of them. And I didn't know what I didn't know, but I literally was trying to call and get referrals for the for sale by owners and learned the script and came back to my market and went all in on FSBOs and expireds and just made the calls, got face to face with people, didn't know what I was doing. I had the door slammed in my face a few times and hung up on it a few times, and eventually I remember when I got my first listing. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm dangerous now. Like, I couldn't believe they listed it with me. Like, I would always call people after I'd get a listing and I would be like, I'd ask them, why did they list with me? Because I was just curious to know what the hell did I say that made you decide to actually list your house with me is what I was really trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And what I was doing that was working. And I remember the one that told me it was my enthusiasm. And so like, I was always pretty excitable and enthusiastic, and that was just something that I think carried me for a long time is my enthusiasm and ability to communicate with people. And I think that the thing that I had to learn the first was I had to learn the market data and the statistics and what was going on in the marketplace. And I did it by accident. I don't remember what. I probably took in my first couple of years, I took my GRI and my CRS, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I was trying to learn everything I could. Yeah. But in one of those courses, they talked about the market data and the statistics, and I started doing the market statistics before there was any tools that did it, and that just became I became more knowledgeable where I could have conversations like, hey, my banker asked me how many homes are on the hey, how's the market. I'll be like, well, there's 1,032 homes on the market today. Last year, this time it was 900 and such and such. So the inventory's gone up a little bit, but all in all, things are well. I could talk about the market, and so that was that market knowledge piece was a big factor to my success early on. I think that's an important step for everyone to get to know the numbers and understand the market, so you can be an expert and you can really advise people.
Well, you did two things. You went out and you actually found, you modeled success, or you found somebody to learn from.
Absolutely.
And you increased your knowledge.
Right.
So did you use, when you started this process, did you use certain scripts that you liked, or did you kind of develop your own?
Yeah, no, I definitely used scripts. I didn't have a proven track record of what to do and say. So I went to Mike Ferry's course, and I bought his tapes and stuff, and I used his scripts for the longest time, and I just kind of polished these things over time, right? Like got to a point where it became very scripted and very but conversational. But yeah, that's I definitely didn't try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, good. Well, and you mentioned open houses too. You did open houses.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing anything special. Like today, what I would do is a completely different strategy with open houses. And, we eventually, got to the point of doing open house on steroids where, you can have, 100 people come through a house, and so, you can go do open houses and do nothing and nobody's going to show up. 3 to 5 people might show up, which is about how most open houses that I did for all those years kind of worked out. Or you can do it bigger and better and have a lot better results. But back then I was just doing regular old open houses. And I did them every single Sunday. I don't think I missed a Sunday.
Consistency.
Yeah. I didn't know what else to do. That was the fastest way I could meet people that were out looking at property.
Yeah. So today's world, if you were starting over and you said, all right, I'm gonna go back in and do it again, would you do the same thing?
Yeah, I would. I would do exactly the same. If I had no money, and the fortunate thing that I have is my skill set. The one thing that once you have a really good skill set of knowing what to say, when to say, how to say it, you can parachute in any marketplace and go get business. And so I would, if I have that skill set, which I do, that's where I'm gonna leverage that by hitting the ground running. And I'm gonna in between the in between those appointments, I would be, really studying the marketplace.
Nice. So you got, yeah, just it's amazing to see the agents out there that are struggling when they could go and do exactly that, and they wouldn't be struggling for long.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to call it, the insanity offer. You ever see the commercials on TV for insanity with Sean and T?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, if you they don't tell you this when you get into real estate, but it is like that insanity commercial. Like there's no secret to this. When you buy that insanity workout, that you're getting yourself a workout. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't watch that and go, I'm going to order this and then, and get mad and send it back because it was too much work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you knew. And so real estate really should be probably marketed more like that insanity video where, it is going to be work and you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and you're going to have to pick up the damn phone and make some calls. And, there ain't no other way around it. I've never seen anybody I've seen a lot of people become successful, but I ain't never seen anybody do it without making calls. Yeah. And so, you can hope that you're going to have enough business from referrals and sphere of influence. And if you have a lot of connections and know a lot of people, yeah, you could probably get by, but that's all you'll do is get by. You'll never be, truly successful, and build a big business.
Yeah. So what was your breakthrough and when did you decide, all right, I'm not going to do this by myself anymore. I want to build a team?
Yeah. So I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, it sounds crazy to say this. I'm freaking so old, but there really wasn't. Teams was it? I mean, the Red Book hadn't even come out yet. So I had a team before teams were even cool. So and I didn't know I was going to have a team. That wasn't what I was thinking of, at least initially. I was just trying to get some shit off my plate. As I was becoming more successful, there was just, and this is actually what I know now is I did it the right way. But I didn't know it at the time, but I was just trying to get the things off my plate that I didn't like doing. So like if it was paperwork related or data or any work that I didn't like doing, like that, hey, that's your job now. So my first assistant was part-time and that was what she did. Bless her heart, she didn't last very long because I didn't know anything about hiring people and I didn't know anything about managing and leading people. Yep. And ultimately, she was a real nice lady, but I didn't know what I was doing, and so she ended up quitting, or I fired her out. I don't remember which one, and then got another one, and eventually I got all the way to and what would happen was I would still do those dollar productive activities, but then I'd get real busy and I'd be doing all that busy work in between, and then I wouldn't do the things that got me those deals. So it was this roller coaster effect of just the impact of making the sale and then servicing the sale. Yeah. And so then eventually I hired another person, and then I hired a person to handle the transactions, and then I hired a second transaction coordinator and a listing coordinator. So I had 4 staff before I ever had any agents on my team. And that year I did 233 transactions, hired the 3 agents in November that year. And I mean, I was busy all the time, but I was really only face to face with clients. I mean, that was where I was either with a buyer in the car showing them houses, or I was with the seller getting a listing. And that's the highest leverage most dollar productive activity that you can do in real estate. That's the $1,000 an hour work. And you'll never make $1 million a year selling real estate doing $10 an hour work. So that you got to get that stuff off of your plate. I think when you're brand new, you got to go through and learn. You know what I'm saying? Like Braden, he's my son's 21 now, and he's been selling real estate a little over a year now. And he had to learn everything the hard way. You'd think that he would have just plugged right in and done everything I told him, but he didn't. So, he just like me, he just has to do it the hard way. And so, he was trying to find an easier way, He didn't want to make the calls, Then he started making the calls, and then he had a real good month. He made like, probably 20-something thousand, and then he didn't do anything for about 60 days. Then he ran out of money, and he's like, "Uh-oh, I'm out of money," and you can't make a sale happen, and close fast enough for him by the time he realized it. So he had to come knocking on my door. "Hey, I need some money, Dad." And I said, let me see your numbers, man. Show me your numbers. We had set all these goals, and he was supposed to do daily numbers, and he never did them. He never sent them to me, and come to find out he wasn't doing it. And so, he wasn't doing the work and making the calls. And if you're not doing that, you're going to have a dry spell. Yeah. And so that was, unfortunately, I think that's what most people experience. And until you get get that stuff off your plate, some of those things off your plate, you're going to always have those ups and downs.
Yeah. Well, it seems like one of the biggest mistakes that I know you've seen a bunch is the agents come in and they decide they don't want to take buyers anymore, and the first person that gets a buyer's agent.
Yeah. It's the biggest mistake I see people do. Largely, there's two reasons that I don't like it. Number one, we tend to want people to be successful more than they want to be successful. And if you've been the kind of person that's done the work and actually made the calls and been successful, you start kind of handing them some deals that you would have probably done, and you would have made 100% of that money, and now you're giving it to them, and you're making half that money. So you actually, and then in your new job that you didn't know you signed up for is, as an adult daycare babysitter, and you're trying to help them, but you're also trying to just get them to do anything, and follow up. Hey, did the open house? Did you put your signs up? Yesterday? Nope, didn't do that. Like everything, you become a manager, and you have to manage and lead people. And what happens is you end up doing more of that and less of the things that were dollar productive. And then you're getting half the money on those deals. It looks good on paper. Hey, I got 3 agents. If they're just doing 2 deals a month each, look how much more money I'm going to make. That's not how it works. It never works out that way. Yeah. So I think that is probably one of the bigger mistakes. I made more money when I was doing 200 transactions with no buyer's agents than I did when I was selling 500 homes. Yeah. It just wasn't as profitable of a business model. And you'll be the surgeon. Just get everything else off your plate and be face-to-face with those clients that are serious about buying right now, and the people that want to list a house. Fill your day with those appointments, and delegate everything else. If you don't change here, and here's the framework for that. If you don't change the outcome, then you don't do it, right? Yeah. And you think you change the outcome in everything, and you don't really. And if there's something that you do really well that you don't think other people could do, mm-hmm. then you either have a process or you're winging it, right? So like you just nail it down to what that process is and have someone else follow it, and that's how you delegate. And you got to once you delegate, like for the first time you get something you really don't like off your plate, you're like, man, this is actually great. What else can I get off my plate? You start getting really good at delegating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and you said it. You've got a job until you start doing that.
Right.
You don't have a business. You've got a job.
Right.
So you would start at looking now. You did it right. Is that the same? You'd say that's the first hire that somebody wants to make. Who would it be?
I think it's a catch-all. I don't think there's a really like a position that it is. More so, it's a catch-all for everything. So like the first person ends up being just an assistant, a full-time assistant, and you start writing down all the things that you don't like doing, and those are the things that's going to become their job description. Or write down every 15 minutes what you're doing for a week. Do that. That's a painful exercise, but if you do that for a week, you write down that, and then what is it worth per hour next to everything that you did for a week, and you got a new job description there for that person. You'll see that things that are not dollar productive that you shouldn't be messing with, or that you could teach someone else how to do, and that's probably it's amazing how it works. But we're not stupid individuals. When you get stuff off your plate and you have more time to do the things that are more productive, you just do those things that are more productive, and your business will grow because of it.
Yeah. Well, over the years, you've become a master at hiring in that process and that onboarding process. Take us through a little bit about how you do that. What's your answer for that?
So I think. I got good at it because I was so bad at it. I had to get better at it. And, when you're managing and leading people, it really comes down to, it's way more complex than just a process for hiring. I mean, it really comes down to core values and there's certain things, like if you've ever worked with somebody where, they just make your hair on your neck stand up, like they drive you batshit crazy. Yep. There's something going on there. And that's usually a core value mismatch, right? Like there's something at your core that you're about that they're not about. And for me, there were certain things, like I like working with people to get shit done. You know what I'm saying? Like if I give it to you, it don't come back on my plate, it gets done. And so when we, as we built, NAEA to a, $10 million company, we had lots of employees. We had people who were leading other people who were leading other people. And the culture is really made up of the values, and the values are really what the how we behave part of a company. And if you don't get clear on like the thing, this isn't that important if you're just making your first hire, but as you build it bigger, it is going to become important, because you're going to want people to have not this, you tend to, the first hire you tend to hire is like, hey, I like this person. They're a lot like me. Well, that means they probably have the same skill sets as you, and they probably suck at the things you suck at too. So like, that's not the right person to hire. You need to hire somebody that has the skills that you don't have, where your weaknesses are, and get those things off your plate. And so, but over time, yeah, there is a process, and it's, it was a very tedious process. And we have a test that we would give people, because we had gotten clear and wrote down exactly what their job description was and what we were going to measure their performance by, and to know, and this thing about this way, like, most people, when you make your first hire, you're like, we don't sometimes, I don't know when you had this aha, but my calendar, when I finally started putting my calendar in place, like really truly owning my day and owning my time and getting clear on my priorities and baking that into my day. Like, I fought that for the longest time. But imagine trying to hire somebody and you don't even have you don't even manage your day and your own priorities and what you have to do. And then you're going to hire someone else, and then they're going to be just like you. They're going to have no clarity on what the hell they're doing and what their priorities are and what they're supposed to do every day. So like, there's an evolution of you that has to happen before, you can start to manage and lead others. And so once you learn things yourself, then it's a lot easier to teach it to somebody else. But I remember, for years I didn't live by the calendar. I didn't prioritize everything by the calendar. Today, you'd never catch me not doing that. I mean, it's 100%, but it's just it's how I live.
I love that. Stay there for a second. So how do you prioritize your calendar? What do you put on there?
So, first? I mean, I get clear on first of all, I get clear on where I want to be, where's the vision? Like, where am I trying to get to? Yep. And then, reverse engineer that into a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 1-year plan. And then, I'm working on what's this month, right? It's December. What are my priorities list? And from a business perspective and from a personal perspective, like, what are all the things that are prioritized, that are going to help me get to my goals. And then, every day, and I used to write down, I used to have a list. And on it, I would have everything that needed to happen. Like, man, you need to get a price reduction on this one house, and you need to do this thing, you need to do that thing, whatever. And I have all these things and I started writing down how much it was worth if I got them done. And that helped me a lot, because I was like, wait a minute. So if this is a flip, and if I get that deal done with Rusty, me and him are going to flip that. So I'll sell that one twice. I mean, this one's worth $20,000 if I do this today, if I get this deal done. Right. And so you're looking at all your stuff and you're like, I know what I'm doing first today. I'm doing the things that are going to make me the most money. And so, that helped me get clear on, like, just what were priorities and what were not priorities. Love
that. Absolutely. Like, how much is it worth to do this? That's a great.
Yeah, that's a little tip that makes it easier to do the hard things too, because a lot of the shit you don't want to do is just because it's harder. But when you see, okay, well, this is worth 30 G's if I get this price reduction, you know what I'm saying? This house gets sold. It's not, I never had $30,000 commissions. I'm from Oklahoma. So it'd be like $3,000 or $5,000 maybe.
That's right. Yeah. That's still, though, even in Norman, Oklahoma, you put $5,000 behind a task or something you need to get done. You're going,
right. That's high dollar value work.
Absolutely.
If you're not clear on what's high value work, that exercise will help you get more clear.
Do you go through your calendar and actually put family time and blocks and vacations and things like that?
100%. Yep. Before the year begins, I put all the things that I want to do in my calendar. So I control my calendar. I control my life, not anybody else. So I put those things in the calendar first, and then kind of get clear on what things we want to do as a family and all that. And then I come back and I put, events and things that I want to attend, knowledge and things of that nature. I put those in there. And then, then it's daily management of, what's the priority? What's the biggest problem that's in front of me that if I solved, that would make everything else easier. And, I reverse engineer my day based around what problems I'm going to be trying to solve and what things I'm working on.
Nice. So when you get into, when you started and said, all right, I want to build, what made you start in AEA? Why'd you get into the coaching?
Yeah. Well, because I was so pissed off. I was miserable when I was selling 500 homes a year. And I was an angry elf. Let me tell you, I was not happy. And I tried to step out of my business, and I think you probably know the story. I tried to step out of my business twice out of production, and I got thrown back in. We affectionately call that the bitch slap. Yep. When you step out of your real estate business and out of production and you think that you're done and you'll never have to do that shit again, And, you have a life that you can go live now, and it's not tied to, every appointment that you have to go on and everything else. And so I had to jump back in my business twice because it wasn't sustainable. I had to do deals or it wasn't profitable. And so I became very angry and I started looking at, different people that were outside of the real estate industry, because I paid everybody in the real estate industry. Yep. And so, Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham and people like that. And, we basically, through Vern Harnish, met a guy that had a financial model, Greg Crabtree, and we applied our financial model to the business. And we went from being, me stepping out, we were negative 3% profitable to 22% pre-tax profit in Lawton, Oklahoma, with me not going on any appointments ever again. And so we had a profitable business. It was actually a business that I didn't have to work in. In fact, I wasn't even in leadership. That was John. John was the leader of that business unit. And I moved to Dallas. And so, when it took like 5 years for, we were already doing Kinder Reese for probably 5 years and coaching agents and helping them build big businesses, because we definitely could do that. But as we were learning the importance of the financial model and understanding what you can afford to pay and can't afford to pay, and nailing that down for people that there's nobody that we ever coached that didn't get to a point where they wanted to be able to step out of the business at some point.
Right.
And so that was, coaching, became a passion, because we knew we could help people build businesses, and then we wanted to help them build them profitably. And so that was kind of really the passion behind it. And then, it became NAEA because, we needed the systems we talked about like, buyer's agents and whatnot, but we needed systems for training our own teams, and training our own agents. And so, NAEA was just a way for us, to create a differentiated value proposition that we could train our agents to, and train, the people that, that came through our systems. And it was how I stepped out of the business. I mean, I had to have a scalable listing presentation that wasn't about me. It needed to be about a system, a process. And so we created those, and a lot of done for you systems. And still to this day, that's, we do those events every year. So, that's, that was all, it was created out of passion for, nobody was teaching people how to run a business. I mean, everybody would teach a pillar and a tactic, and that stuff ain't, that stuff it's not about just making a sale. It's about building a business, and I had to go spend a lot of money and go outside the industry to figure that out. And we felt like we brought that back to the real estate industry and training, from a training perspective of teaching people how to build business, as opposed to just sell more houses.
Nice. So if somebody's, yeah, there you go. So if somebody's doing that and you say, after all these years, if you said somebody's coming in or they really want to build the right business, what would you say, like the top 3 things that they need to do and put into place now to do that?
Yeah, no, there's two things that we do right out of the gate. One is the quad track. That's just, there's not really a tool that I know of. There's a couple tools that have evolved, I think, since then, but the quad track was just a way for us to track the entire business and basically kind of have a snapshot of where you're at related to your goals and all that. So that's one thing. The other thing would be, and it depends on like where exactly you're at the time, right? So like when we, if you come to us and you're on life support, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to put the financial model in place yet. That's not going to be the focus. We're going to be focusing on, let's go make some damn sales. Yeah. And so, you want to be strategic. You want to be strategic in your business. And if you're being tactical and you're making decisions based on cash flow, then it's because, you got to get the cash flow fixed first. And then you can be strategic. You can work on the things to build the business strategically, meaning the right things in the right order. Or when the house is on fire, you got to go put the fire out, right? So like we're gonna make sure your core capital is the number one thing we're gonna make sure is in place. How much cash do you have set aside? Can you afford to? If you didn't sell another house, how many months could you survive? And if the number's not 2 or 3, then we're gonna build your core capital up to 2 or 3 months worth of capital that you could. If you didn't sell another house, then you'd be fine. Then that takes the pressure off and allows you to start thinking more strategic and working on the bigger picture of attracting business as opposed to chasing business. And that's the place that we would start.
Yeah. Interesting. So you're first looking at cash flow. which is what any agent should be doing at this point.
That's what whether they say it or not, that's what they're thinking about. When you don't know think about it, when you don't know where your next deal's coming from, if you can't tell me where your next deals are coming from, then you're in panic mode. You're always looking for that next deal. You're not even trying to be strategic about it. You're just like, give me a tactic, give me something is there an ad I can run to go get a deal right now? And so until we get that, I got my cash stashed up here. I'm feeling pretty good now. Now I can go do those things I want to do, right? And do them and execute on them.
That's right. Well, and you're tracking everything.
Right.
Regardless of what level, you are tracking everything 100%. That comes in and goes out.
Yeah, you can't. It's a business, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like people get into real estate and they don't have the technology or the marketing system to go generate business. It's like, if you bought a McDonald's franchise and say, hey, we're gonna open this McDonald's, but we're not gonna put in the drive-through because we don't really have the money for that right now. So is that cool? They're gonna say, hell no, you're not gonna put in a McDonald's without a drive-through. That's the business model, right? Like, you got to have that. And so I think if more agents looked at the business like a business and treated it like a business, and then you would never not track the numbers. Right. And nobody, very few people I've seen become successful that don't. And sometimes, for me, I had to almost lose it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to go through 07, 08, and literally I tell people I canceled my Netflix. Okay, if you think your shit got bad, that's how bad my shit got. I canceled $7.99 on my credit card. That's how bad it was. And so, like, when you're looking at everything and you say that's got to go, that's bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so going through that, I had no excuse. It's my business. I should know the numbers. And when you almost crash and burn and lose it all, you tend to have a different affection for the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I didn't used to be. And he agrees.
Yeah, they do. See, it's real because there are actually dogs barking back there.
Right. It's usually my kids that come in and behind me and jump up.
Hey, at least we know that they're protecting the house, right?
Right.
Awesome. So, all right. So what do you think, with an agent that, let's take two different ones and two different scenarios. What do you think the biggest question right now that agents ask you, and how to grow their business and what should
I think that most of the time, the question that I get asked is in one way, shape, or form is, how do I make a sale today?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what they're trying to figure. They ain't trying to figure out how to make 25 sales over the next year. They're thinking very tactically, looking for that one idea that they can go do and make a sale.
Right.
The question that they should ask, to answer your question, is how do I set up a system of attraction that brings me a steady, reliable stream of ideal potential clients to me, asking for my advice or assistance as the trusted authority on real estate, or even better, who's predetermined to be my clients if I would take them, right? Like, that's the question that you should be asking me, because now you're talking about building a business where you're the expert in the marketplace and people are coming to you. You're not chasing them. And that's, and that takes a little bit of time to implement, but that's being strategic, not being tactical. And so
so give the 2-minute outline on how you do that.
Yeah. So you have to have a differentiated value proposition. Number one, why should I do business with you above anybody else? And if you can't, if I asked you, hey, well, Rob, why should I list with you? Because I used to get this, right? Like my competitor in Lawton, Oklahoma was Pam and Barry. Pam and Barry were a RE/MAX team in the top 10. And I never was even number one in my own damn market. I'm still pissed off about it. But they sold 750 homes when I was selling 500 homes. Wow. So like it was just every day I competed against them, and they would always cut their commission. And I did not cut my commission. I did not want to cut my commission, so I wouldn't. And I was stubborn. And so I had to learn how do I sell against somebody, because this is what they would tell me every time I meet with a seller that had met with them is hey, well, Pam and Barry, they sell more houses than me. They spend more money in marketing. They got more signs all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And then here's me trying to charge 7%, and they were willing to do it for 4 or 5%. And so they would say, well, Jay, why should we hire you above using Pam and Barry that'll do it for 4 or 5? And eventually I learned how to sell against that, and I learned how to win in that environment. And it comes down to your value proposition. And we have a proven, repeatable system backed by market research to sell homes for up to 18% more than the methods of traditional real estate agents. Would you like for me to show you how we do it? Yeah. And that one talk off, and then having a system to make the value visible and show someone that you have actually a system for how you sell homes for the most amount of money, and you can make that value visible. Then you can show them enough value that they'd be willing to pay more. And so that's the first thing you have to have if you want to build a business of attraction. You have to have a good promise, and you got to deliver on that promise. And so if you have that piece, then you can build upon that, and you can't go building on something without a foundation. It's got to have a reason why people do business with you above everybody else. And then you deliver on that promise that you're making, and then from there you can start marketing to acquire customers. See, real estate agents think that leads are people that did a home search, and then you chase them down and try to convince them to buy from you. That's a lead. That's not a damn lead. That's just a poor soul that did a home search on somebody on website, and you're just trying to chase them down and call them. You're just cold calling people that don't want to talk to you. Yeah. So that's not really a lead. A lead is someone who says, hey, I see the value that you bring to the table. I'd like to have an opportunity to have you represent me in the purchase of a home. That's a real lead. Somebody that's looking to come do business with Rob Tucker because Rob Tucker has a value proposition. So on the buy side, it's, we have a proven, repeatable system backed by market research to save you thousands to tens of thousands across the home buying process. It's called a smart home buying strategy. Would you like for me to show you how we do that? Okay, that's a better conversation, right? Like, that's a better person that says, a person that says yes to that is better than whatever else most agents are saying, right? And so that's it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot that I just threw out there, but if you nail that piece, now we can build something, right? But if you don't nail that piece, I don't know what you're going to build it on, because there's not any clear reason why people should do business with you. You're just going to tactically be randomly nailing boards together and hope that it builds a house.
Yeah. Well, that's why the tech companies are kicking our butts as an industry. They've convinced us that their leads are outstanding and that they're great leads, and we've abdicated our responsibility to build value. Right.
The real estate agent's not going anywhere. I mean, that's the good news. There's been hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars thrown into the industry in the last 10 years of people trying to disrupt us and discount and all these other things. We're not going anywhere, but I will tell you the real deal is, Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow Offers, Redfin Now, and any number of other hundreds of companies that now understand that the data's there to, you can buy a house and you can flip that money 2 or 3 times in a year. You can beat the market. And that's going to never go away. And that's a pretty good offer, right? When you really think about what's the value proposition? Hey, we'll give you an offer in 45 minutes, close on your terms whenever you want. Never have to show your house to anybody. Is not a bad offer, right? Sellers are there's gonna be a segment of the market that always gravitates to that.
Oh yeah.
And so we gotta figure out how to compete against it.
Yep. Well, and we can, and you're seeing agents that are doing that and popping up and having their own iBuyer type program.
For sure.
And it's great.
Yeah. EXP just launched their platform for express offers with multiple buyers that are in that game. So now we can say, hey, we got, the real key to it, Rob, is we all have to become experts on every damn buyer that's in your marketplace. Yeah. Because the thing that it does, and this was, I can't remember who said this, but it really got my attention and got me thinking about it. It's like, they're not making this process any easier for the seller. It's making it more confusing for them, because they don't know, they don't know. There's Zillow Offers, there's Open Door, there's OfferPad, and then now every real estate company is going to have their own express offers type thing, iBuyer platform. And so now there's all these ways, but somebody's still got to make sense of all that and help somebody to say, well, what, these fees are, this one has these fees, and then this is how this works, and this one is this way, and this one is this way, and this one is this, which one of these is better? It's like, you still got to have somebody that's an expert help you through that process, or you might get taken advantage of. Absolutely. And so I think you have to be the most knowledgeable on every iBuyer platform that's out there, and B, you have to make that a part of your proposal. Is I'm going to help you get all the offers. We're going to start there. We're going to look at those numbers, and then we're going to look at what if we were to package and position the home to attract the highest price that we possibly could in the market, and look at those numbers as well and determine what route do you want to take. And if you can be that person and be positioned in a market as that person that's the expert on getting you offers, then now you got something of real value.
Yeah. Well, you're having a true discussion with a client or customer about what their real needs are, what their pain points are, and you're providing a solution for those.
Exactly.
Wherever it falls in the spectrum,
right.
Of what happens.
And you always got to. It always has to be rooted in helping them, advising them the best way that you could. No different than a doctor. You got to do what's best for the client. If you do that, then you'll survive as the expert in the marketplace. That's the position that you want. That's my strategy. I mean, I don't know if there's probably other strategies out there, but I like that one.
You become the doctor of real estate in your
right.
And then that's key, because there's, that's the things that all of those tech companies can't compete with. They're not local. They're not going to go and have a cup of coffee and sit down with somebody and really find out about them and truly solve their challenges and help them achieve their dreams.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're coming towards the end of this official one. So any last piece of advice that you'd give those that are watching this to really jump out, succeed, compete, and win?
Sure. I mean, first of all, congratulations for watching this in the first place, because that tells me that you're a lot like what I've known to be known to make people successful, which is you're seeking knowledge. And so, I think that's the number one thing. I think getting to events, even this is obviously, this is an event in and of itself, but getting out of your comfort zone and getting in the room with people that are at a level above where you're at, and learning from them and modeling success. You said it earlier, Rob. I mean, guess what? Good news is somebody's already done what you were trying to do. And you know what? If you could just do what they did and you probably get the same result. That's been the story of my life. So all I've done has been really good at finding somebody who's done what I want to do and then go copy and do it exactly the way that they showed me to do it. And I think what you want to look for is somebody that's done it, and then somebody who ideally has helped other people do it. And if you can find that person, that's going to be a good mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does somebody get in touch with you, Jay?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on the gram. That's that's the most entertaining way to follow me is on the gram. I think it's jkinder82, or just message me. I'm easy to find. Google me. Something hopefully positive will show up. But go to my website's jkinder.me. And you can book a call with me, and I'm happy to help anybody with anything. So whatever I can do to help somebody, you guys come find me.
Awesome. Jay Kinder, thank you. I appreciate it. And for everybody else that's out there watching it, we appreciate it. We know that you've given some massive value and some great things that people can implement and take action on. So thank you, sir.
Yep. Appreciate you, buddy.
You rock.